thank him behind no one. He amazes me every week. He's always doing something special.
Getting back is Carey!
I predict he'll be a future champion, this kid.
I didn't want to go last because then I thought I might pull out.
Carey! Sit-down for the captain! Oh, Captain Carey!
This player's played for the last 10 years.
Where's Carey? There he is. Carey! Carey!
He achieved hero status in South Australia as the first Adelaide skipper to hold aloft the AFL Premiership Cup. To be a back-to-back Premiership captain has assured Mark Bickley's place in football folklore. In Bix, he goes behind the scenes. He tells the stories, relives the moments. Bix, the Mark Bickley story is out on video now, along with Robert Harvey, The Story So Far, and Worsfold on Worsfold. The AFL Champion Series. Get your copies at these stores now.
I did see someone write in the paper 2 out of 3 ain't bad, and I think if you said that when we first started this 3 years ago that 2 out of 3, I think we'll all be pretty happy with it.
I said to Blight, I'm meaning to ask you, why did you use your right hand to lift the cup up instead of your left hand? He said, oh, there's a reason for that. And I said, okay, what was it? He said, well, I've never been there before. And to hear that from a guy who'd done most things in footy was just brought a smile to my face.
I can honestly say that the process is actually to get to winning. What I think is more important, and then when you get there, your peers and everyone acknowledges that success. So, yeah, look, winning is important, but I think the steps to get there are probably as important. Otherwise, there'd be no one playing the game, if you can't win everything you start in. However, we are judged by winning, and I think our whole lives are judged by winning. So sport is just a reflection of that.
As a footballer, his talents were freakish. He could take the incredible mark, kick the breathtaking goal. His skills were awesome and at times intimidating. As a young man, he would win the Magarey Medal as South Australia's finest. He would become the first man to win the Magarey and the Brownlow Medal. He would kick 100 goals and win the Coleman Medal in the VFL, and another 100 to secure the Farmer Medal when he returned to Adelaide. As a playing coach, he would fail by his high standards. But relieved of footballing commitments, he would become a trendsetter, an innovator, and with Geelong and Adelaide, one of the best we have seen.
Yeah, it was one of those days that you dream about, isn't it? Kicking 3 goals in the last 3 minutes of a game to win it by a kick.
Bouncing that pretty awkward as he drives the ball up towards Blight and to McLean. A beautiful mark to Blight. Blight to have his shot from about 70 metres out from goal. The kick is a good one, I'd say. Chesnell into the forward zone. Blight is going from, and Blight's taken it. And Blight would be 40 metres out, but he's on a very, very difficult angle. It's on its way, it's a banana kick, it's close. He's put it through. Dawson up north, Melbourne up towards centre half forward. There's no mark, yes. That's Malcolm Blight once again. Malcolm Blight has got the ball at centre half forward. 28 minutes gone. The crowd's gone mad. There's the siren. I think the siren's gone. No, Blight will have to take his kick.
I remember going back and putting the ball on the head and I thought, what will I kick here? I was thinking about a torpedo or a drop punt. And Keith Gregg walked by and he said, why don't you just try kicking the bloody thing, which probably relieved the moment, actually.
Not over yet. What drama here at Princes Park. Malcolm Blight, it's a big kick. It's a mammoth kick.
Yeah, look, the first 2 years I glandular fever and hepatitis, and so I was a bit off colour really. It's only played about half the games and played some useful ones, but yeah, it was probably that third year that I started to actually get a bit more consistent.
Let's see you in action here.
Yeah, off the first.
First of the national, 344 metres.
Good luck. Nice and windy too.
What were the early days like for Malcolm Blight?
Well, a fair bit of fun, I suppose, like most young blokes. Just loved playing the game, and Woodville came into the league in '59 as a seconds team and then got admitted in '64. So they're a very, very young football club from the amateur league, and I guess a lot of teething troubles at the clubs in those days, and but grew up with a lot of mates and played a lot of footy together.
72, the big turning point, being named in the Carnival side and playing full back in Perth.
Yeah, it was an injury actually. Bob Kingston broke his arm. He used to play at South Melbourne, and I was changing with Barry Robran on the ball actually, and Neil Curley was coach and sent out the message and said go to full back on P. McKenna. Now he already had a couple of goals by then. I think he ended up with 8 for the day, but it was down there fairly often. But it, you know, I got a fair bit of the ball, and yeah, probably people started to take a bit of notice.
24 kicks and best on the ground for the South Australians against a bloke who kicked 8 goals. It's a good effort.
Yeah, I remember a bloke called Barry Price though, just kept on spewing the ball down his throat. He was a great kick.
The McGarry medal that year, can you remember the build-up to it? Were you the favourite?
Yeah, on the Sunday, you know, the typical roundabout, and all the media had their, I think I was unanimous actually, and you know, Barry Robran and Russell Ebert had won a couple beforehand, and so yeah, it was a pretty good field, and I think we'd finished 8th out of 10th, so it was pretty unusual for a team to, or someone to win the medal outside the top 4 or 5. But yeah, the build-up was, yeah, was quite a bit of it.
Malcolm, how did North Melbourne end up getting you?
Well, during the '72 Carnival in Perth, I think I spoke to a couple of clubs over there, and North was one of them, and Ron Joseph came and saw me in Adelaide in a few weeks after.
And did he tip the kit bag of notes onto the table, or?
No, he didn't do that. No, we just had a bit of a chat, and you know, I was probably thinking about, you know, you'd watched a bit of TV and you'd watched the VFL and all that, so yeah, it sort of started to warm inside of me that the fact to perhaps have a crack in Melbourne.
Did you feel slightly overawed walking into a club room with the like of Doug Wade, who'd kicked 1,000 goals, and Barry Cable, and good young players like Schimmelbusch and the dual Brownlow medalist Keith Gregg, and some pretty handy players?
Yeah, they'd finished 6th the year before, and you know, just missed out on the final. So at the start of '74, I didn't get cleared, so I actually ended up missing some practice games in the first game. But by the time the second round came round, I was cleared and played against Footscray at Arden Street, and fortunately enough got some votes in some people's eyes. So the media actually were pretty good to me.
Down toward the half-forward zone. It's a chance for Blight at the back of the pack. Blight now getting around Casey. Casey tried to trip him but missed. Picked up by Blight, who goes going with a left foot snap at goal. That's a pretty good shot. Hand passes to Blight. Blight's got a chance to straighten up and use the right foot, but he let go with the left foot, and it's gone straight through the centre for another goal.
Not all that effective though. This is picked up by Cable. He goes for the short pass and finds his teammate down there in Malcolm Blight.
Well, before off the left foot, this time using the right foot. I think he should have used his left the way this one's floating in. It might have just got there. Yes, it just got in.
Dempsey trying to get into the action, and that's a good mark down there to Malcolm Blight. This fella's a footballer, believe you me. We've seen him kick 2 pretty good goals from round about here.
Well, he's coming up for his 4th goal now, Frank, if he can make the distance, and I think he can.
Well, he's only about 50 metres out, 45-degree angle. Normally a good kick. This one's a ripper, a torpedo punt kick on its way, and that's a classical kick.
I mean, he was just an imposing character. You know, he was aggressive, but I thought a reasonable teacher. You know, I think it's like anyone in authority. You know, you have tremendous respect for him, but he was a hard taskmaster. There's no doubt about it. And you know, I got on the end of some of those, like a lot of other players, and there are times, I suppose, you wobbled with all that, but I mean, at the end of the day, all he wanted to do was actually win and try and help you in his footy.
Chance now for Cumming to get it. No, they're all pushing and shoving. There's Wade coming out of the ball. Good plays against the Blight. He fires. It's a goal. Right across the face of goal because that's the defensive side. Oh, beautiful mark.
Ball picked up here by Judson of St Kilda. Judson back towards the wing position on the stand side. And a good mark is taken there by Malcolm Blight of North Melbourne.
It was a disappointing latter half of the year because illness chipped in.
Yeah, I ended up getting glandular fever. Patsy had it also. She was pregnant with Adam, obviously it turned out to be, and so she was pretty crook, and then I got crook, and so the last 6 weeks of the season was just an absolute struggle physically for me, and but we did play in that grand final and unfortunately couldn't win it.
Barassi obviously came out of that afterwards. North Melbourne got there, but he knew what was needed to go the next step.
Yeah, he did say that at the time. I must admit I probably didn't understand that. I mean, all you're trying to do is get a kick yourself or get well again, as it turned out. But yeah, what he said turned out to be pretty right.
Up they go. There's Blight flying over the pack, and that's a magnificent mark.
Handball across the Blight. Blight runs around, swings onto the left foot, hooks the ball back.
Malcolm, Grand Final Day 1975, great expectations for the club. You had a good chance of winning it. I think the previous year was a very hard one, but 75, good chance.
Yeah, I think so. The pretty good win in the preliminary final, and yeah, it was set up nicely for the club. It was my first senior grand final, and the club had played in the one, as you said, the year before, and I think it was one of those things that you'd read all these stories about grand final players and the pressure and the names that they got from playing in the final. So probably in my mind, when I think back now, you're probably a little bit underdone for it in some ways, and yeah, but it was just the build-up, and I'd never been through anything like it. 10,000 people at training on the last training session, all that. It was just a phenomenal time.
And they've been a bit dangerous. Oh, it's a long kick by Sam Kikovich. It's a beautiful kick. Eyes a go now for North. There's Blight going to the goals. He fires. And a goal. Oh, there's a dangerous one. Oh, 5 goals, 636. Hawthorn to North Melbourne, 10-2, 62 points.
Rollings takes his kick, tries to steer it in towards the centre. Nolan's there. Big fella goes up in front. It comes down to Keith Gregg. He drives North into attack once again. The Hawthorn defence trying to stand firm, but Kikovich! Oh, blazes away and puts it through. Cable here to Dench. Dench has his hand pass intercepted, taken by Cable. Over to Henshaw. North backs under pressure again as the ball gets up to the wing position, taken by Malcolm Blight. It's on the southern or outer side. Blight going for a run. Eventually kicks in here towards the forwards for North Melbourne. Brightest with the ball. Oh, he's in trouble. Oh, he's lost it altogether.
And there's a mark to Schimmelbusch. A long kick by Schimmelbusch into the goal square. At the back as wide as they go. A goal. He's got it again. A goal away. That's his third goal. Umpire says players count this down. And they're not begging any pardons at the moment as the ball goes back and a mark to Blight.
Malcolm Blight is now on the back line. Oh, too high, I'd say. It's a hard way to get it in a 15-metre penalty. Well, Hawthorn can see the trouble they're in. Players arguing with the umpire, in this case Desmar, as Blight comes up. The kick, it's going to land in the goal square, a chance here, no mark. Wade comes in, he's got possession, loses it. Wade is still going, he tries to get it across here. The ball pushed out the Cable, the left foot snap, it's smothered by Jaworski over the line. There'll be a hot time in our old town tonight. There's the bounce. There they go. Tuck gets a tap down. Cable gets it. Cable kicks it forward. Jones knocks it out of danger. But in comes Burns. It's taken there by Arnold Brightus. Brightus screws it around. It bounces. It's another goal. He's kicked 3 goals, Brightus. Gumbleton from the half-back flank. Hand passes to Cowton. Cowton gets it across here to Malcolm Blight. Malcolm Blight gets it down into the forward zone once again. No mark. Chance here for Burns. He's going to be tackled by Welsh. A long hand pass to Arnold Brightus. Brightus steadies. He shoots at the big ones. And here's another one. That's the fourth goal to Blight. As he come home with a burst in the last quarter.
North Melbourne have this grand final wrapped up. Down she goes. And there's a free kick. Someone's gone over the line. A free kick to North Melbourne. It's all North at the moment. North are well on top. How many minutes we play?
22 minutes gone.
22 minutes gone, and North Melbourne just about ready to fly that flag. Their first ever as the ball goes deep to attack. Up towards Wade and Bremner. Pushed away, grabbed by Burns. Over to Simmerbush, another goal. Oh, they're streaking away. That's his second goal.
There's Barassi. Look at him. He's cracking it for a smile. His first smile in weeks. Here's Barry Davis driving that ball forward for North. Deep into the forward zone once again. In comes Feltham. Feltham into an open goal. He couldn't miss. And there's another one. This is a pretty long quarter. In they come. It's North Melbourne through Chisnell, getting that ball to the half-forward flank on the northern side of the ground. Trotters after it. There's the siren. Siren's gone. North Melbourne's first ever flag. And the final scoreboard now reads, at the MCG in the 1975 Grand Final, the final scoreboard reads, North Melbourne 19-8, 122, Hawthorn 9-13, 67. And just have a look at these scenes. Louis, you can't help but feel elated.
Barassi, you've got to give him full marks, a marvel. Of course, he asked for special stipulations when he went to North Melbourne. He wanted players, and he got the players, and he's won the flag after, 3 years with them. A tremendous performance.
You know, in the Hall of Fame now, there are a number of players being admitted, and out of that team, that one team in 75, there are 8 people in that team that have made the Hall of Fame. And when you read the names, you know, the Davis, Wade, Rantells that we talked about, you've got Cable, of course, the champ from Perth. You've also got Schimmelbusch, Greg. I was fortunate enough to be in it, and Brass's coach. So I don't think there's any other team in the history of the game that's got that much notoriety.
And now here's the victory lap. Marvellous scene.
It was a great last quarter, and the euphoric state after was just sensational.
Now, you will be euphoric if you can hit the green. It's 121 metres into 100 km/h headwind.
And I reckon I've got the wrong club, but anyhow, we'll have a crack.
That's a good shot.
I've hit that dead straight. Oh yes, I'll take that. Ho-ho!
Barras. Few bigger names in Australian football history, is there?
No, he's as big as there is, yes.
Exchanging words with his champion utility Malcolm Blight, and generally laying down new ground rules to all of his players. It was a common sight for the North supporters. He was obviously upset over missed chances late in the quarter.
But one of the tricks you learnt when you got a bit older, so you get smarter, and you actually didn't get to the huddle first. When I first got there, I wanted to listen to everything he said, so sometimes you got there first, he get you. So you learn to actually just slow down a bit to the huddle.
All right, we're going to play the match against Richmond now. A team that we love playing, and who loves playing us? In 1974, they completely wiped the floor with us in 4 matches. Today. Come on, fellas. Last year, we returned the compliment beautifully. So 76 between the two clubs could be a crossroads situation. Yes. Which is going to be the club that dominates the other? I believe it's going to be us. I believe because I'm in my 4th year with you, and I just could not believe that you haven't taken some notice. You'd be under no misapprehension at all as to how I want the game played. But what's more important, I believe you know and you feel the way football's got to be played in the modern 70s. Bloody finessing! You You kill Blight, serve him bloody right! Does he think he can play on in the grand final when the game is tight? Tell him to wake up!
Was he particularly hard on the skilled players at North, including yourself?
Look, I think he was. Probably, you know, hindsight says now for pretty good reason. Perhaps he thought that you could actually get some more out of you, and a lot of people would agree with that. But he was relenting, and but after a while, after 2 or 3 years at North, you know, I think you know, he understood where he was coming from more, and I think he accepted it more. But he was always fairly aggressive, but he was also a pretty good teacher of footy.
You sit back and look back on some of the films of Barras with the players, and you think to yourself, how can you talk to grown men like this?
Yeah, well, with great difficulty, you listened as well.
At three-quarter time last week, and looked to have the flag in the bag, and there's Barassi having a few words to say to Baker. He won't give up. He knows he's 5 goals in front, but he realised he should be more. Have a look at the shots for goal. North Melbourne had 34 shots for goal.
Look at Baker having his chop back at Barassi.
Did he alienate many players, do you believe?
There were times, you know, the group became fairly tight and said, well, OK, that's what the coach wants, that's what the club wants, well, that's what we're going to all have to do. So I think he brought a bit of a tightness around the whole thing. When
you look back on it now, can you go and have a drink with him and quite friendly?
Oh, most definitely, yeah. In fact, probably had too many with him.
Have you shot? It's a tough one too.
Yeah, I've been practising these though, I think.
Nothing wrong with that. You remember that day out at North Melbourne when O'Halloran pushed you in the back?
Oh, yes indeed.
But you were just running into goal and...
Yeah, Tiger Croswell just picked the ball up beautifully out of the mud, and I think the scores were about 6 goals each. And yeah, it was just a terrible day. I think they called the seconds off that day, so it was pretty wet.
And as you went to kick, he pushed you.
Yep.
You went flying, the ball skewed through for a point. And what did they give you the option? You're only 30 metres out, was you?
Well, yeah, I was, but I thought I was a bit closer than that, but they put me on an angle.
But he's pushed in the bucket, so 3 for 1 point, get a free kick, I'd say.
North Melbourne lost at least one match because of the big wet when Malcolm Blight, after levelling the scores with a late kick against Hawthorn, slew-footed his free kick out of bounds. The Kangaroos lost the match by a point, but the circumstances of Blight's second kick after the ball has prompted the league to change its rules. In future, the first kick will now count.
Here he goes now. It'll be a dead end if he missed the kick. He's kicked it out of bounds.
One of the things I learnt from that was that when I went back, I actually kicked the ball pretty long, but there was a big patch of mud in front of me, so I tried to run around it. I actually became a lot better kick after that because of just learning to run straight at the goal. So it was heartache at the time, and we lost the game by a point, but yeah, I guess we got our revenge back later in the year. We beat them in the preliminary final and went into playing the grand final. So, but it was a disappointing day for everyone, but gee, it was a tough day at Arden Street.
When you come in after those sort of days, was Ron fierce?
No, actually it was pretty good. You know, he talked about having the option of the second kick, and I think he might have mentioned something about the technique of kicking. So it was a terrific little learning. Although I was sort of 26, 27 years of age, you can still learn something, and I did. I became a much better kicker after it. So I think I took it pretty hard for the next 5 or 6 weeks, more so than probably everybody else.
At the end of '76, you'd been beaten by Hawthorn. You'd had a poor qualifying final against Hawthorn, and there was some talk in the newspapers that you'd even considered going back to Adelaide. Things weren't quite gelling?
No, it was just a period of my time. You know, I signed for 3 years in '74, '5 and '6, and yeah, it was just a time to rethink what you want to do, I guess, with your football life from there. So I got close to going back without ever really making that next step, and North are very good. I mean, they kept on talking, and so end of the day I stayed.
You would have been glad because '77 was one of the great years.
Yeah, it was.
Can you remember the drawn grand final?
Well, I can. I saw the last quarter on the bench.
To be better far than you are, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to be willing to fight without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach that unreachable star.
His own teammates pull him that time. A hand pass coming over to Manasseh, drives the ball back there towards the wing position, and a good mark taken that time by David Dent. And look at this guy go as he shoots the ball up there towards Blight. He's kicked the goal. What a magnificent effort by David Dent. North Melbourne starting to get more confidence, settling down, but up it goes. Up the there's a go for Baker, an open goal. He fires, and he's put it through. That's North Melbourne's second goal.
Well, Wayne Gordon seems to have lost about 10 yards in pace. Well, he's forgotten he's meant to mind a man. Ellis back towards the full forward line for North Melbourne. Chance for Stephen Eck. Left foot step coming up as he screws for goal. And hit the post. Oh, the post rocket. Magnificent left foot step by Stephen Eck, but luck wasn't with him. It's only 1 point.
Pressure on Gumbleton now as he drives it up to the two of them. Gumbleton gone for the punt, but Moore's got it. No, he said, Mark, he's paid it, I thought so. Here we go now. Fires, and he's put it through, and the Magpies have hit the front for the very first time in the 1977 Grand Final, coming at the 3-minute mark of the third quarter.
But that Magpies now to move deep into attack again. By golly, they're looking dangerous. Down towards Moore. Can't mark the ball. Well rode by Dunn. Can he break clear? Croswell's there for North Melbourne. Out it goes towards the half-back line. Danger again. Max Richardson. Handball out towards Moore. Moore's 30 metres out. Step shot by Peter Moore. And he's put it through.
Collingwood dominated the game in those second and third quarters, and I was playing in the forward pocket at the time, and the ball didn't get down there very much. But anyhow, Brass decided to take me off, and so I actually sat on it last quarter out. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in footy. You talk about the highs and the lows, but it was probably the low point of your playing days in real terms. But someone smiled upon us, and the game ended up in that fantastic draw.
Here he goes now, Baker. This could sew it up for North Melbourne as he fires it through, and North Melbourne hit the front by 7 points. It'll be Keenan and Dunn. Down to Bond, he gets a hand pass. Out to Magro, he's grabbed, he snaps for goal. Up towards Moore, and there's a go for Moore, he fires. Oh, and he's put it through. Oh, 1 point. And scores North Melbourne a goal in front. The kick by Picken is into the goal square. There's a mark here to someone.
It's in front of Twiggy.
It's Twiggy Dunn, I think has got it. Oh, golly, it could be a drawn game. Well, the pressure on this veteran from Collingwood, played over 200 games, fires for the goals. And he's put it through and scores at that level. Scores at that level. Now what will happen? Can they get it down there and score a point either side? What a climax this has reached. And the ball driven out there towards Max Richardson, picked up by Little Bond. He's going for a run. Can he get it down there in time? There's the side, I think, for the end of the game. It's a draw. It's a draw.
Probably the best thing that happened to me, and I've spoken to Brass about it, as we ran out in the 77 Grand Final replay, I used to run out last, and he grabbed my arm as I ran through, and he said, if I was a praying man, I'd pray for you today. And I must admit, Ron can't remember saying it, but I can definitely remember it. I talked to him about it after. I wasn't sure he was praying for me that if I didn't get a kick, I wouldn't be there, or he was really hoping I'd do well.
Going after his Hyde, and nicely picked up again now by Tanner. Goes for a pass, looking there for Croswell, but intercepted that time by Icker, snapped towards the goals. There's a go now for Blight, it's a goal! as the ball goes back now towards Thompson. Blight at the back. How was that for a mark? Oh, what a mark. When this fella lets himself go, he's a ripper. Malcolm Blight about 55 metres out. It's a long kick into the goal square. Players setting themselves. As they're going out for Baker trying to get out, but what's going to happen? That's a goal. I don't know. That's Croswell got that. Croswell got it off the ground. There he goes. That's a magnificent mark. They call him Crazy Horse, but he's a darn good player as the ball falls a bit short up in that half-forward line. Collingwood players all flying for the ball. No one staying down as it comes out of Brighters. Looks dangerous. A beautiful hand pass to Tanner. He's gone in for an open goal. He fires, and it's good. They're making lots of mistakes, Collingwood. Mistakes galore at the moment. We wait now for the ball to come back into play. Well, this happens when you get a bit rattled and you start to lag a bit. The ball knocked out by Thompson. Over to Pick, and his umpire call play as a go for Cass to snap for goal. It looks dangerous. Oh, let's see. Oh, they're getting away, North Melbourne now. Gets the ball over to Dunn. Hand pass back to Manasseh. Back to Gordon again. It bounces right for him. And now the Magpies. He better kick it in a hurry. He fires for the goals. And what's the result? Put it through. What a magnificent goal. That's his first, and he showed plenty of dash.
Ray Shaw, your chance, couldn't quite reach it. Chance for Blight. Blight breaks clear across, it goes to Casson. Casson in turn to Elves. Elves will fuck North Darwin deep into attack towards a beautiful pass to Brightus. And Brightus is about 55 metres out. Just not quite within scoring distance. Down towards full forward. Worthington, they all sit themselves. Chance for Stephen Nick, left foot stopped by Stephen Nick, hit the post.
There's a dangerous hand pass coming out to Anderson. Will it bounce all right for him? He's got it now. Oh, they're going to grab him here for sure. Elves has got him and put him off balance and taken the ball away. And a pass, and a good pass to Wick. Oh, that's football personified. As we see the tackling of North Melbourne and a beautiful pass. Another pass to Baker. No, it's Brightus it is. And he's got the mark there about, no more than about 40 metres out from goal. He's already kicked 3 goals, Bright. It's been a big danger this quarter. Bobbed up everywhere. The shot. He's put it through. Oh, that's made a heck of a difference now. That's put a dent in the Collingwood morale, I'd say, for sure. And he's shooting around that half-forward line. It's clear now. He's going to drive the ball up to the full forward zone looking for more. He's got his hands down. He's marked it. He's on the boundary line. We'll know by the crowd if he's kicked the goal or not. He's running around. What's he done? 1 point. So it's a goal. It's a goal. Oh, the umpire was late. Netterfold couldn't mark the ball. He's grabbed, gets a hand pass back. Blight's got it on the first top. He'll fire for the goals. And what's the result? It's a goal. That makes it 3 goals the difference. Malcolm Blight.
Russ is about to come onto the boundary line too, I'd say, Lou. Gordon, the big leap. Oh, second grab, couldn't quite take it. Rene King can't burst clear. Blight's there. Also Maggrave for Collingwood. Gordon trying to get it out, which he does, towards Manasseh. Manasseh to drive, Collingwood deep into attack, goes for a run. Almost towards the half-forward line. He is now. He's run 50 metres. Goes for the handball. No, feigns the handball. He won't give in Manasseh. He's going to shoot for goal. And he's put it through. He's put it through. By golly, what an individual effort. That's going to be the goal of the century.
Victory, and perhaps the ultimate success in VFL annals, came finally to North. The Kangaroos, who had toiled for 51 years for their first league flag 2 years before, were premiers again in every sense of the word.
As it turned out, yeah, I had a pretty good game and we won and that was probably the biggest high I had in footy. You know, the 75 was different. 77, Wade Davis-Rantel had gone, so it was a Schimmelbusch, Dentcher, you know, just a great player, Greggy. That group of players had been part of the second one, so that's a real sweet taste in my mouth.
When you look back on the vision now, you're about to get your medal, and you're sitting there with a beer and a fag out in the middle of the ground. Is that sort of how you want to be remembered?
Well, I had a lot of mates. All I can say is, in those days, that's what happened. Yes.
Will it be Knights? Will it be Blight?
Final vote.
Will it be Wilson?
Collingwood.
Oh.
Kay Worthington.
North Melbourne's Malcolm Blight.
The Brownlow used to be the Monday after the last game. Well, this is the first time it was in the grand final week. So I think that a lot of people had a lot of time to think about it, and as it turned out, yeah, the famous leak, which happens every year anyhow, I don't know why that year was different, but there was a fair bit of conjecture that I'd win it and da-da-da, and which happened.
You won by a vote from Peter Knights and a couple from Gary Wilson.
Yep.
Patsy, your wife, looked distraught. Was she that tense?
Well, I can remember the night. Didn't actually say a lot. I mean, the night sort of unfolded around you, and you know, being on the table in the North, people occasionally there'd be a jibe, and yeah, you got to vote, and all that. But I think it went pretty quiet towards the end, so I can't remember actually looking at her. But when I won, she was pretty happy.
High leaps, the long runs, the handballs, the long kicks that have caught the eyes of the umpires for him to take out football's most coveted award.
I don't think I mean, it's true you actually don't play for that, but, and you know, to win by one vote from a great player like Knightsy or Gary Wilson, who's just a fantastic player, I mean, that's a bit of luck whether you get a 3 or a 2. But, you know, I think the mystique of the Brownlow is exciting, and yeah, I don't necessarily say it's always the best player of a season, but that's the way the umpires vote. But it is, it's been something, someone said to me at the time that you probably look back on it when you finish playing as a nice feeling, and that's true too. When you're playing, all you want to do is get a kick and just keep playing. But yeah, it's been great to be a Brownlow medalist.
It's my privilege again to hand over to the President of the Victorian Football League to make the presentation to our winner, Dr. Alan Aylett.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of you all, I would like to extend congratulations to Malcolm Blight. I think we must all agree that Malcolm has had a magnificent season. It's been a wonderful achievement for him to win this award. There's no doubt that the whole competition tonight was very, very close. And Malcolm throughout the year has been leading in most of the awards in the media. I think that over his career with North Melbourne, he's been the ideal type that does justice to all the Brownlow medalists that have gone before him. And ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the members of the Victorian Football League, in congratulating Malcolm Blight, I would also like to present him with the 1978 Brownlow Medal. Congratulations, Malcolm.
A few days later, the grand final against Hawthorn, and enormous pressure on you that day. I remember the game.
Yeah, what happened about the 5-minute mark? The ball went to centre half back, and I ran into a lad called Richard Walter. I just ran into him, and well, gee, something hurt then. You know, something just popped, and I sort of struggled, and then I got kicked in the face with a footy, and it was going along terribly. And at half time, I just went to the doctor and I said, listen, I'm having trouble running. And he put about, I don't know, 8 or 10 injections into my groin to try and get me going. But I came out at half time, and I was really, yeah, so it was a pretty lonely, desolate day. Stan Alves did his hamstring badly, so the two of us sat virtually the second half out. So yeah, she'd had the elation of the Brownlow, and sport being at its very best brought us both back down to earth the following week. And yeah, it was sad, but you know, Hawthorn played pretty well, and it was one that probably slipped away.
It shouldn't be a very long quarter because it's been a pretty low scoring one. Barassi on the phone. Ball back into play again. We see Tanner drop the mark, but the umpires paid the free kick. I don't know how much longer this quarter will go as we see Tanner there at centre half back, driving the ball out there towards Malcolm Blight. He's got the mark, he's clear, he boots it well up towards the full forward position. There's Good with the mark. Good's got the mark, he's well within kicking distance.
The siren's gone, Lou. The umpires haven't been able to hear it, but I'm sure the siren has gone.
The siren's gone, the crowd coming onto the ground now. If Good kicks this goal, they've won the match. Oh, what a climax to this 1980 Escort Cup Grand Final. Good's already kicked 3 goals. He's only about 25 to 30 metres out, dead in front. He kicks this, they've won the game. He's put it through, and North Melbourne have premiers. North Melbourne have won the match. What a game. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in my life. What a magnificent piece of play on the part of North Melbourne to come back like they did. The final scores. North Melbourne winning the Escort Cup for 1980, the grand final. We'll see that replay again of that mark, and Malcolm Blight got it out there beautifully. There it is, there's the kick well down there as Malcolm Blight takes the mark there at centre field. Malcolm Blight back to his best, and we see Good get that one on the chest, a beautiful lead.
But there's the final score in the Escort Championships. North Melbourne 8-9-57, a 3-point margin over Collingwood 7-12-54.
You were actually Victorian captain, and yet you never captained North Melbourne. It was quite an honour.
Yeah, it was. I think a couple of guys got injured. I forget who it was now, but yeah, it was against, would you believe, South Australia at Football Park. So yeah, it was a terrific day, and we won by about 10 goals, and then also captained them a couple of years later with Tom Hafey as coach up in Brisbane.
Did you feel strange going back to Football Park, an Adelaide boy leading your side against the Crow Eaters?
I probably did initially, but once the balls bounce, I mean, all you try and do is get a kick. But it was, yeah, it was a great honour.
Punt kick going high over the wing, Institute side of the ground. Blight goes high, a magnificent
mark. When we look back on this vision we're looking back on now, Patsy and yourself with the young children, when you came to Victoria, you got wrapped up in this whole star system. Was it hard to adapt to?
It was, probably coming from Woodville. You know, we hadn't had a lot of success, and then the North Melbourne machine and whole thing, it was quite a vibrant place to be around, and it was almost like you're made a star just by being at North Melbourne.
Do you feel that your day, when players actually had a job, was it tougher on the players or easier? Did it take your mind away from things?
I think it did for me personally. However, if you grow up with that environment, I don't think it matters, and that's certainly the way footy's going, and you know, it's become a legitimate business.
You had a young family and married quite young. Was that a settling influence, do you believe?
Look, I think so. But Patsy's been a great support. You know, she hates that word. I shouldn't say it, but it is. I don't think you could go through 30 years, and we've nearly been together 30 years, what I've been through, without someone actually loving what they're doing and being part of it.
Magnificent kick right up towards the centre-half forward position, almost a mark. Grabbed by Blight into the open goal on the left foot, and Malcolm Blight has put his first one through for 1982. In towards the square and fisted through by Dool. No, it hasn't gone through. Picked up by Blight. Beautiful ball, shot at goal by Blight is a superb effort for 6 points.
Kick looking for Malcolm Blight. He's at the back. Can he mark it? No, he might have got this. He said play on, but he's got the ball now. Has snapped the goal for number 7. A beautiful bit of play on the part of
1982, the Coleman Medal, 100 goals, second North Melbourne player to do it. How did that year rate amongst all your years in footy to kick 100 goals?
Yeah, I generally played most of the time in the forward line for the first time in my career, really. A fair bit of full forward and a little bit of centre-half forward. So, and I missed 4 or 5 games with a hamstring too. So, you know, the goals per game were pretty high, and yeah, it was great to kick it in a final. Unfortunately, we lost that final, but yeah, it was just nice to win.
You were kicking to the punt road end, fairway out, the 100th goal. Can you recall it?
Yeah, I can actually. I think I overdid a free kick. Kelvin Moore grabbed me by the arm, and I made sure the umpire saw it, but it went back nice, and it was a nice feeling.
So Blight is going for his 100th goal, and the siren has sounded. So we know the police have taken arrangements here that when Blight does kick his 100th goal, that they will cordon off the areas where the North Melbourne supporters are, but it's right on siren time, so the police efforts may not be as hard as they thought. Blight going for his 100. He's kicked it after the siren at quarter time.
All the goals you kicked, over 400 goals. Tell us about the one at the MCG when you ran in and kicked the point.
Yeah, the highs and lows of footy. Yeah, well, actually, Stephen McCann handballed it to me, and Stephen wasn't normally a handball. I thought he was going to have a shot, so I must have went to sleep, and I used to line up the goal umpire and kick it over his head. Well, he moved aside, but what I forgot, he was in the points lining up for Stephen McCann, so I just kept on running and kicked it. I couldn't believe it.
This could be a goal. Now it's back to Blight for goal number 4. He couldn't miss this. He's run the... I think he might have put that through for a point. He's run the wrong way. It's unbelievable. He thought that was the goals. He really still thinks it now. Look, it is unbelievable.
Yeah, look, if you played 350 games, there's got to be a couple of idiot things you do, isn't there? Oh, I know. through 80, it evolved that Ron was going to leave and went to Melbourne. So things just progressed from there. I can't remember seeking him, going and seeing him and saying I want to coach, but it was one of those things that just gradually grew on you, and the club gave me the job in the end.
You got good support from some of your teammates. Others made life more difficult for you.
Well, yeah, I think you changed with some of the guys, and you know, it was a pretty difficult. I was wet behind the ears. You know, obviously I made some mistakes, and I just think that, you know, probably if I had my time again, there were some decisions that I didn't make then that you would have made, which I have made over recent years.
Little short kick. Over the top, here's a chance for Malcolm Blight. Off the ground, beautiful soccer tactics, and Blight puts it through for his third.
Jump there towards the full forward position. The pack fly. A go for Malcolm Blight, a goal.
4 goals. Full forward looking for Reeves, and Blight!
Oh, there was a mark and a half. Oh, Blight, what a magnificent mark.
You know, everyone's got a different motivation for playing, and I think that sometimes as an individual, your ego can actually get carried away a bit, and I think that just part of that team game, which Brass was all very much onto and North Melbourne was onto, I think by that time there'd been some players probably developed a different way to where I reckon the club should be going, and I just wasn't strong enough probably.
The simple fact is that I'm convinced, absolutely convinced, that the day of the playing coach in the VFL is over.
Blight will continue as a player at North and admitted he'd had difficulties combining his playing and coaching roles.
I guess if you look yourself in the mirror and say, on the scoreboard, as a coach for 16 games, you know, I've been a failure. And that hurts. I mean, that hurts deep down, but, you know, it's always said that the club's bigger than the individual, and, you know, I made the decision on my own, and so, you know, I stand by that, just hopefully now that we can get back on the right creel.
Barry Cable met the North Committee for 2 hours this morning before accepting the position, and his first priority will be to work out what has gone wrong with the ruse.
Well, at the moment I've been contracted to coach the North Melbourne Football Club, and so as from now I'm coach of the club.
There was really 3 options. I could either keep doing what I was doing, I could stop playing and just coach, which I wasn't keen on, or I could walk away. And walk away with a sense of knowing that that Barry Cable was having a year off in Perth, and I had a lot of time for Barry, and the club did, so it just seemed to make sense that we couldn't make the finals, that Barry had at least 6 weeks with the team, so I swallowed the humility pill and took out.
Now the next week, you must have been a very awkward person to live with, but the next week, without the coaching responsibilities, you had possibly one of your big days out.
Yeah, we played Footscray. We had a pretty good record against them in those days, and yeah, I managed to play full forward for a full game. I'd sort of been playing everywhere, all around the ground as coach, and so I played full forward. I ended up kicking 11 and a lot of points. I had a lot of the ball. I don't think I was angry as such. I was pretty determined though.
By Hodgman towards Blight. Can he trap it? Goes in after it, still got it. Blight runs around into the open goal, fires it back at the goals. Is it true? It is. For Spencer as he gives it out to his teammate there in Reeves. Over to Blight, a chance for Blight. He snaps around, he hooks at the goals. Is it true? Yes.
Still possession, a chip now to Blight. He's kicked 6. Here's number 7. No mistake about it. The opportunity now for 11.
Well, someone said in the paper, will he do an Ian both? And well, he has certainly done that.
Yes, no question of that. There's the drop punt. Looks pretty good off the boot. Straight through the middle.
Coming from where I did, you know, to be involved in finals and grand finals for so many times, both the winning and the losing of them, and then having that coaching stint, which really opened up my eyes, but also, you know, set me back on my bottom. So, yeah, every spectrum of the sporting world was experienced at North. I can remember thinking, how can I get back into this coaching caper, and which should be the best football club I could go to, which just happened to be the worst football club probably in Australia at the time, was my old club, Woodville, which had just won 1 game for the season. So that started some thought processes, and I ended up back there.
The big question in Australian football circles in the week leading up to the opening round in the South Australian National Football League was whether Malcolm Blight in fact would play for Woodville against West Torrens. Blight had been given a permit to play by the South Australian National Football League, but that permit had been revoked by the National Football League. But the South Australian National Football League insisted that Blight was a Woodville player. Well, Blight had a gallstone attack on the Monday of the opening week and then was in hospital on Monday night. And so we didn't know until Friday afternoon whether Blight would be fit enough to play or not. And so it wasn't until the afternoon of the opening match that Malcolm Blight passed himself fit enough to play for the Woodville Warriors against West Torrens.
At the end of that first season, we'd won 4 games, so we'd improved a fair bit, but 26 league players went that year, or for all different reasons, not just because they couldn't play, retirements and all that. So we actually, the club cleaned the whole thing out. And the following year we went round and got some kids, and we won 4 games again. Now people would have seen that as not improving, but it was really a whole group of players, new players came to the club, and I thought we actually held ground. The following year we won 6 games. So then you were genuinely a 10th team in a 10-team competition. I used to say that when I first got there, they were probably a 15th team in a 10-team competition.
Towards full forward, Hughes in front, can't quite get there. Malcolm Blight, oh, it's going to bounce through. Did they touch it? Oh, it's a goal! Centre bounce, tapped away by Kennedy, but straight to Harradine. A magnificent kick. This has got 80 metres. I reckon it'll be a goal! Oh, what a kick! It's one of the biggest kicks that I've ever seen at Football Park.
Brett Mackereth at half forward. Porter a bit loose at this stage. Blight against Harris. Blight one hand, backs up onto the left boot. Goal! Playing it on is Bomber Clifford. Gee, that wasn't a good kick. Tahiti's going to come in and pick it up, hopefully. Gets it out to Coop. Coop's got the player running. Here's a chance for Schwarz. Schwarz will run around Ebert, lines them up, and the Warriors have hit the front. First goal to Schwarz, runs through half forward. Oh, they're alive. The Warriors are on the move. Here's a chance. Malcolm Blight, he's one out, couldn't take the mark, recovers well. Tries to kick it off the ground, but missed it completely. Colliding with the post. Oh, it's a goal! It's a goal. It came off Blight's boot. Eckerman didn't get to it. The goal umpire has indicated a goal. That's number 6 to Blight.
Clifford in the pocket, he wants support. Chips out the pass, Fletic, Parker right there with him, but Fletic has got it. But seconds ticking away pretty quickly now. There it is, the siren's gone. What a magnificent win to Woodville.
How did you feel going back to Adelaide as a player after your North Melbourne days? You were heavily feted in Melbourne, you were Brownlow medalist, captain of Victoria. Then to go back to South Australia as the old man of footy, really?
Yes, no, look, I was pretty keen to just explore this coaching bit. So, I mean, I hear a lot of what people say, but I mean, it's really what I think and what I want to do. So it didn't bother me at all.
Siren to start the first quarter. Centenary year for Western Australia. WA and South Australia, the first of the 1985 interstate clashes.
Did it give you a thrill when they named you captain of South Australia, who Barmy was coach?
Yes, yeah. He's 2 years younger than me and I was captain. Yeah, look, it was a great team. It was one of the highlights of my playing days, actually, that we went over to Perth and there was a group of kids from Adelaide just coming together then. Kernahan, Motley, Bradley, Platten, etc., etc. I mean, there was just a great crop of young fellas and we kicked 30 goals over there and flogged them.
Bradley plays on quickly to Thomas, 45 metres out. Thomas straightens up and there's a major on the board of the South Aussies. Shoves it out, forward to the play is Anderson. Goes in forward, Richardson a good mark in defence.
And that was a desperation bit of football from WA then. Bounces unkind for Western Australia, but this lets in Craig Bradley. Bradley going around the boundary line, threads out the line. Oh, he's put it through. What a superb goal.
At Subiaco Oval in this interstate clash, and the umpire has seen another kick. Go to McIntosh. He's a tough customer, this fellow. Gary McIntosh right in the centre of the ground looking for Anderson. Butley it is. Butley onto the left foot towards full forward, looking for Blight! And Malcolm Blight's got it. Went up between 2 West Australians to drag it down.
Richardson tries to clear. Here comes Langsford, the WA captain. He puts the ball into the centre of the ground. Mitchell tries to take it with him, can't. Going back is Whittlesey. Dog it off the half-back line is Greg Whittlesey. A long kick into the forward line once more. Oh, Kernahan from behind, and Rance didn't know where he was.
That's his third mark, John.
Third mark for the quarter. Kernahan putting it up high. Cousins the target. Carter appealing for the mark. Cousins had his eye on the ball. Is Rick Cousins.
Bad play by South Australia there. 2 players going for the same ball. Cousins' eye on the ball all the way. Can't get this one. Comes to the centre of the ground. Anderson again. He's right-footed this time. Looking for Blight. Blight this time with the left foot. Full points.
They are absolutely tearing the heart out of the Western Australian defence at the moment, South Australia.
Murray Rance to take the kick in. He's been switched, as we said before, with Carter to try and curb Kernahan. It's not coming off at the moment. Into the pocket it goes. And Paul Harding, the vice-captain, coming up. Nonchalantly goes onto the right foot. Bradley's in front, gets out of it well. Craig Bradley over the 50-metre line. Goes out further field to Campbell. To Blight. 25 metres out. The screw kick from Malcolm Blight. He has done it again. 4 points. Cotton's still in there in the centre of the ground. So is Richardson. Play showing plenty there as it comes up towards half-court. Kernahan going all on his own. 45 metres out. Stephen Kernahan has missed. No, he hasn't. He has put it through for another goal to South Australia, and well done.
The situation with your playing, you won the Farmer medal over there, kicked 100 goals again, but did you feel at that stage that you either had to make the choice, it was far more a tougher choice than North Melbourne, stop playing and coach?
Yeah, look, you know, I was rising 36, I would have been, so I think I'd had 18 years of playing, I had a fair go, and yeah, I think it was just then I thought, well, yeah, well, there's not much more I really need to do playing, plus my body was tired then.
On behalf of the Woodville Football Club, just a small trophy in recognition of the 12 goals that he kicked today. A fantastic game of football, which I think all of us would agree, and I'd ask him if he can't get away so easily, he must say another few words. Well done,
Well, I guess we've always got someone to answer to. And from a player's point of view, that is the president of the Woodville Football Club, and I can't really knock it back, can I? Thank you very much, Kevin. Terrific. Thank you. I thought, well, I'll give the non-playing go, a coaching role, a bit of a crack, and yeah, the next year was as exciting a year that I've spent in footy, probably.
Getting them into the finals?
Yeah, we actually, we won enough games to qualify, and we beat probably the two nemesis in the town, with Nord and Port, in consecutive finals. So. And then Glenelg got us in the preliminary final and went on to win the premiership. So, but that 3-week period was just as exciting. You know, it was just a young footy club growing up.
That's a good ball. And hit the cameraman right on the head.
There we go.
Yeah, it was you had a good bounce. We both had fairly good bounces here.
All right.
Malcolm, the decision to go to Geelong at the end of '88, the press conference was held. How did it all evolve?
Well, I was working at Channel 7 doing special comments, and I was working with Brambles, a transport company, and I got a phone call from King Gannon, who was general manager, and Ron Hovey, president, came and saw me in my office and just asked if there was any interest in coaching. And after talking to them, you know, John Devine had left, and so yeah, I mean, the more I talked to them, the more I got more interested, and yeah, it seemed like a goer.
Today's announcement was made at Cardinia Park, where club president Ron Hovey told the gathered media he was delighted with Blight's acceptance of the position.
We are delighted to have Malcolm services. He has had a distinguished playing and coaching career, and is highly respectable of his knowledge of the game and his ability to communicate.
I'm certainly not here, and the Geelong Football Club's certainly not going to waste their time. Why would the players waste their time if they didn't have that inner drive to know that finals are what football's all about?
Blight will round out his Channel 7 commitments with Geelong's matches in the United States and Canada next month.
Onto the left foot, swings it down towards half forward. The Cats, there was a holding decision to Ablett. He plays on and slams it through. Great play by the Geelong champ.
Well, the story I could probably tell is that you know, he didn't turn up to training a couple of times, and I remember bringing him up and saying, look, we've got to sort this out. I think he was having some troubles off ground, so I met him in this little duck pond just outside of Geelong, and sort of walked across the bridge with him. I said, Gary, I mean, there's two ways you can go. You either come with me, or you know, I'll push you off. And so I'm ever thankful that he actually went home and got his footy gear, and yeah, he started training, and it was just terrific at Geelong.
Riccardi goes back and now leads. No mark as the ball hits the deck. Here's Ablett on the left foot. Gary Ablett. Oh, miraculous goal.
Ablett. Still Ablett. Gary's kick.
Brilliant. What a player. Hickley through the centre. Goes long. Ablett sets himself with Pert. Gets rid of Pert and takes the mark with strength. It was rather arrogant, wasn't it, by Gary? But he's kicked three. He's kicked magnificently today. That's four.
I've ended up with terminology calling him the most explosive player I've ever seen. You know, he's so much power in his body, and his kick was great, and you know, everyone's seen his magical goals and his aerial stuff, but he just had so much power in his body. He could really turn games within 10 minutes, and he did that a number of times.
The ultimate prize. Capacity crowd. The grand final. Burke and Dia. Down by Burke. This is Buse. The second opportunity for Buse. Down towards the half-forward line. Ablett's in front.
Very interesting, Dennis, at that first bounce, because Yates came off the wing and went straight for Dermot Brereton. And Dermot's down on his knees, as you can see.
Gary Ablett will go very close from here, from about 52 metres. Long, probing kick. It's home.
Now, this is reminiscent of the final Dermot Brereton down. I mentioned how Yates came through the centre, didn't have eyes for the ball, just went straight at Brereton and has put him down. A bad miss for Hawthorn, because he's the one who can really get them going. Now watch this on replay. You see Yates, there he is, coming off the wing there. He only had eyes for Brereton, then goes over and bumps him again, but obviously he's done his ribs.
It was premeditated, was it? You and Malcolm Blight, you put your heads together and said, well, all right, let's fix Dermot up first bounce.
It was a plan. Yeah, that was it.
Well, tell us, how did you go through it? The week before a grand final, how did you actually plan out what you were going to do?
Well, it actually started probably in round, was it 6, didn't it?
6, yeah.
Princes Park, and I had a very sore testicle for about 4 or 5 weeks.
That was an accident, though.
It was always going to be on. And of course, that's when a man like Brereton is most vulnerable. When he's running with eyes on somebody else, he's suddenly open.
Dermot had been pretty good. You know, I mean, he's a great player, and he'd been sort of running through huddles and all sorts of things. So I just felt with Paul Couch winning the Brownlow that year that you know, that we didn't need to lose a player early, and Dermot had bowled over Yoda pretty well in a game early in the year. So there was some motivation there from Yatesy anyhow, and just said, look, all I said was, look, if he comes running at the centre bounce, just make sure you meet him and, you know, protect the blokes in the middle. And you know, Dermot kept running, and Mark hit him, no elbows, no fists, no nothing. A little bit off the ball. It's probably a thing that we should probably take out of footy, I think, on hindsight. It's not one of the great memories in footy. I think that given the time again, I probably wouldn't have done it. Given Mark's time again, he probably wouldn't have done it. But knowing Dermot, he probably would have. So I'm not quite sure where that was all going to go to, excepting that what Dermot did do was stand up and kick 3 goals, and we got beat by a kick. So, you know, his contribution was significant.
Right of the congestion. Domenico falls on top of it, slaps it out. Burke scrambles it forward. Kennedy the opportunity. Sweeping hand pass over the top, sends Pritchard away. Down towards full forward. Brereton the test here. He's taken the mark. What a courageous mark.
And it's on centre wing.
Geelong had a reputation through the 70s and 80s as a handbag side, as being soft, not playing direct football. Yet the Hawthorn team, which was one of the toughest teams of the 80s, by half-time had about 6 walking wounded, all the result of very heavy tackles and hard bumping.
Yeah, look, it was. We'd only played them once throughout the year, and they'd beaten us coming from about 9 goals behind at Princes Park early in the year. So we really didn't know each other as a football team. And yeah, look, we also had, I mean, one of the things I never said very much publicly was that we also had 6 blokes in hospital after that game, and Hawthorn did too. If we had to play it again, I'm not quite sure where we would have got the players from. So Hawthorn deserved to win. I mean, they were good enough and they were a great team, but, you know, just at the club I said, well, we've got beaten, let's put our heads back in our sockets and we'll wear the loser's tag. But it was a very brave game of football, I thought.
Ward's half forward with the kick, intended for Ablett. Up he comes, he crashes
I think that first quarter, everyone seems to think we went the bash and crash, and we did a little bit, but not, I mean, I think both sides did a bit, but the thing that amazed me was Hawthorn's skill, the delivery of the ball. We just couldn't get the ball off them there for about 20 minutes, and they really hurt us on the scoreboard, and it was a gradual wearing down process that got us back into the game, and you know, Gary had a sensational first half that probably kept us in the game, really, and then you know, he kicked another 4 in the second half, which was handy, but you know, it was a high-scoring, free-flowing and pretty tough game.
Very good team, the Hawks, very disciplined. Flanagan now doing the ruck work against Deere. Ablett over the top. Snapshot by Gary Ablett. This is close. Oh, it is mercurial stuff. And we're close to the end of the game, and only 3 goals separates the two sides. Tuck. Bairstow over the top. Bruns. Bounce favours Bruns. Bruns goes for goal. Brownless at the back. Ablett! This could be the record number of goals kicked in a grand final, at the moment held by Dermot Brereton. Gary Ablett has kicked 8, a chance to kick his 9th.
And that mistake coming from his brother-in-law, Michael Tuck, on the outer flank, the back flank for Hawthorn.
Here goes Ablett for goal number 9, and he's threaded it up towards the 50-metre line. The Geelong defence punch it away. Hocking transfers play to the opposite side of the ground. Dippy Domenico can't mark. Linder a little late on the scene. Hamilton gathers, kicks it to Scott. This could be another Geelong goal. There'll be only one kick in it if Scott can get the ball. He gathers well and kicks it to Cameron, who's marked 40 metres from goal. He'll have to kick it quickly because there's under a minute left. Cameron, move it. Panic stations.
Taking too long.
David Cameron has kicked 1. David Cameron has kicked 2. That'll stop the clock.
Did you think you were going to win it?
Oh, maybe at the last 3 minutes of the game we thought we might have been a bit of a chance, but it wasn't to be.
We're down to 15 seconds now as play restarts. Geelong must get it immediately. One down by Flanagan, taken by Buse, upended by Dippy and Domenico. They lock it up again. It looks like it's all over. The dream of back-to-back pennants is all but there as far as the Hawks are concerned. There's the siren. Hawthorn have won it by 6 points. A heart-stopper.
I thought 92 was our best chance, to be honest. You know, Mark Bairstow, Paul Couch, Barry Stoneham, Gary Hocking, of course Ablett, Kenny Hinkley, Billy Brownless. I mean, it was, the top echelon of the club was pretty good, and we led the Eagles by 2 goals at half time, and but it was a disappointing half-time break, I can assure you. You know that the Eagles kicked the last couple of goals. We were about 4.5 goals in front, and in that second quarter, and when I walked in at half-time, I just sensed, it was one of those times in football you could sense that there was disappointment in the room, and yet I thought at half-time to lead by a couple of goals would have been more than handy, considering what we've done the previous few years. So it was a very frustrating half-time.
Goal to Stoneham, right on the 50. Couch. Couch is marked about 25 metres from goal, and they get it 50.
Well, the Eagles are breaking down. Heady looking for someone to kick to on half forward. There's no one there like a Stoneham that Geelong have. The ball rebounds. Stoneham, the player involved in that play up on half forward there. Chipped the ball out toward Merriman, and now we've got a shot at goal.
Couch directly in front.
A lot of people say coaching Geelong is one of the toughest things because the town depends on you.
Genuinely speaking, I thought that the football club could help the people of Geelong by the team performing well. I thought that we could actually give something back to the community, and I think most of the players probably felt that too. However, if you keep on getting beaten in grand finals, people tend to think that that's not the case. And it was. Look, I used to put it this way: there was 150,000 people that wanted to select the team. It is pretty tough, but I enjoyed 6 years at Geelong. Was a fantastic time. Other than the thing that you would have loved most.
Brownless has been very well held. He kicked 2, but they were in the first half, 1 in the first quarter and 1 in the second. But this is a very important kick. It's also a magnificent kick. Well, they're not out of it yet, Roscoe.
No, they're not. I just
Looking before, I was about to make a comment that the Eagles certainly look to have the greater legs. You see Bruns coming off and Wills to come back on again. A little fortunate to get the kick groundless, but to tell you what, he made full use of it.
Can you remember, when you go back to those grand finals, the Geelong grand finals, how you reacted at half-time?
Yeah, look, I think in 92 I was pretty positive. In 94, I mean, you know, we'd probably been running on empty and the Eagles were just too good on the day. But 92, you know, I just remember the disappointment of walking out and thinking, gee whiz, I don't know if these blokes think we can actually win this. Now, the net result of that, the Eagles beat us pretty convincingly, like 20-odd points, I suppose. But, you know, I actually walked off the ground after the final and I didn't want to sit in another huddle and say, look, boys, how disappointing it was. And a lot of people took that the wrong way. I mean, I was pretty shattered for the players as much as myself. You know, I'm fortunate enough to have been there, but I didn't talk to anyone for 2 or 3 weeks, and on hindsight now that was probably a mistake. And you know, some people at Geelong probably didn't like the way I handled it. And you know, once again, you look back on that now and you think, well, yeah, perhaps I would have done it differently.
Got to play on and they've got to take a mark. It's got to be Ablett or Brownlee. Oh, what a finish! 8 seconds left.
If he kicks a point, it'll be another tie.
Oh, don't tell me.
Oh!
The siren's going to sound.
Oh!
How'd you like that for pressure? Well, his coach, Malcolm Blight, knows all about that.
This is your moment, Billy. He'll go back and belt this straight through the middle.
Yes, I'd back him.
Billy's got the ball a long way out on the bell, needs to kick it. Would you have given it to anyone else?
No, Billy could kick it. Sometimes his accuracy wasn't fantastic, but that day, Billy had been through a lot that year, and I was just wrapped for him after the game that he'd actually contributed, and you know, people were saying, is he finished and all that, even at that stage. So it was an exciting finish.
Well, he's had a rock and rolling season, down and out, and back he comes. Can he finish it off with a goal? Billy, you are king of Geelong.
The monkey's off the back, Billy!
Billy! Oh, Billy!
Was that the first time you'd done the trip out onto the ground, the running, jumping, bouncing trip?
Well, it was really to get to Bill, you know, because I'd spent a bit of time with him. You know, as I said, he'd been under a fair bit of pressure from all sorts and sundry, and I just couldn't get there. I mean, everyone was wrapped for him.
And then there was the fantastic preliminary final against North, when for all intents and purposes it was over, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, and you know, football unfolds in many different ways, and sport does too, I suppose. But yeah, look, you know, to play in another grand final, I suppose, at the end of the day, when you know, Lee Tudor actually kicked the ball back. I remember it clearly to Gary.
103 points apiece. Last boundary throw in, surely. Last roll of the dice for Geelong. The ball towards the boundary line. Pickering's over and out. 25 seconds left. We will get another boundary throw in.
Ablett's a man. He's got to take the jump here. Ablett's got to jump, grab and have a snap. Watch him.
Like in the 89 grand final. Hocking had a big lead. Mick Martin gets it. But onto the chest of Colbert. There's 18 seconds left.
Colbert, what will he do? Started on the bench. We're down to 10 seconds. Colbert. And the mark is missed down there by Barnes. Right on the boundary line. Tudor. He will kick after the siren. Oh my goodness me.
There were 2 seconds on the clock when Ablett took the mark.
There is no justice in football. That was the look on the face of Michael Martin, the master all day, and this game will be remembered for this kick. Gary Ablett, 5 metres out. Any score will do. Geelong are in the grand final. Well, how about that?
Yeah, to be in 3 grand finals in 6 years, and you know, against the Eagles, who were probably as hot as anyone, and we'd had a lot of injuries and seemed to be just getting there, and the grand final day was such an anticlimax.
A long road to the MCG and his second premiership. The Eagles are premiers for the second time in 3 seasons.
Oh, look, I think after the grand final, those few hours after, you contemplate, and I just felt that after 6 years, and you know, I'd had a fair go, and I thought the club was strong enough and there was enough playing resources there to just let someone else have a look at it. I don't think I've ever tried to outstay my welcome anywhere. I just felt that perhaps my adrenaline rush had finished there. No one's fault but my own. It was one of those things, and so I, told the club that I wouldn't go on, and they handled it very well, I thought, and so we parted company. Well, I'll take that.
Well, amazingly here, working by torchlight, would you believe, the lights are off at Waverley, and it's halfway through the third quarter, in fact, 5 minutes to go in 3 quarters. Essendon led by 20 points, 9-9 to 6-7. There was an accident in the area, and believe it or not, we now have Russell Morris down in the boundary or underneath the grandstand to make an important announcement, Russell.
Yes, Blighty, I've just got Gary Colling and Don Hanley, the Chief Executive, or the General Manager of St Kilda Football Club, has just been informed by, I think, the Commission that the game has been officially abandoned.
It's an enjoyable time, really. It's sort of all care but no responsibility, but, flying around the country with teams and players, and, it's just fascinating to see the football world from a different angle. I quite enjoyed it.
Now, what about the early days commentating? Can you remember the gaff?
It's like the first game I ever called, Essendon playing North at the MCG, and it was one of those Olympic years when all us would-be commentators, or has-be commentators, get a crack at it, and I'll never forget it. A kick from the forward pocket. I thought he was going to kick a torpedo punt, and he actually kicked a drop punt, and somewhere or other the torpedo and drops and punts all got mixed up. I think it was pretty good on the Christmas tape though, wasn't it?
Well, it was 13 points at quarter time, but it's ballooned out now to 40. Carlton looking for their first flag since 87 at 10-8-68, leading Geelong 3-10-28. 40 points is the margin here at the MCG, where the lights have been turned on, as we can see from our vantage point at the Regent Hotel. What can Geelong do to get back into this game? They've got to find Ablett, do they not?
Well, they do indeed, and I think their field kicking has just been poor. They've been put under a lot of pressure by the Carlton players, and it's really the difference as we look at Gary Ablett now on screen. Must get some more opportunities with some good kicking.
Carlton, on the other hand, have a very open forehand. Ange Christou copping one there as we take a break, and more shortly on 7 Sport.
I think the concept's great, to look at a weekend's round of footy and just go back on it, get a coach on or people in the game, and it's different to some, but I quite enjoyed it.
And I've had great respect for him as a person and as a player in that way.
Isn't it true also, David, when you went back to Carlton this time, that it was a side on the slide and you've had to take a different approach in your coaching, I guess, to the first time, and that Greg Williams has been there for 2 years and you've been in the finals for those 2 years?
Well, he was a terrific pickup for us when I've been very fortunate because we had to rebuild, and in fact going back in was the toughest thing I've probably been a part of, because many of those guys have been extremely good performers for me in the early 80s.
Yeah. The concept of just three blokes talking footy, I mean, talking with Mike Sheehan and saying, well, look, if this doesn't work, it's really a Bruce McAvaney show, so we can just sneak away if it doesn't work. But yeah, I think in TV terms they call it a little sleeper, didn't they? People just gradually got to like it, and I still think it's a great show.
Good evening. How are you, Malcolm?
Good, thanks, Bruce.
And you too, Mike. It was an exciting weekend of football, wasn't it?
It was great. Best round of the year by a long way.
Yep. What did you think, Malcolm? You were in Sydney, I know.
The best round because the games were closest. A lot of the people I've spoken to in the last couple of days have said probably the football wasn't as fluent, but the games actually tightened up a fair bit.
Well, I saw the best game I've seen this year was the Adelaide North game by a long way. I thought the skills in that were fantastic.
Yeah, I saw a couple on the weekend where I think the wind had a bit to do. It was probably our first real windy weekend in spots.
But it does get back to the fact that we want to see a contest, don't we?
Certainly.
Irrespective of what the standard's like, if it's a contest, it holds your interest.
Yeah, sure.
We saw a couple in particular on Saturday afternoon, and there were a couple of decisions during these matches that you may say affected the result. Surely Chris Naish should have been given a free kick here with Scholl.
It was a fantastic mark in the end, but you'd have to say that was got fairly wrong.
He should have been given 3 free kicks, I reckon.
And the Tony Evans one that was more difficult, I guess. So the goal umpire's pretty close, and it didn't come off Greg Williams, but came off Tony Evans. Do you think, Malcolm, how do coaches read these things? I mean, that's in the third quarter. West Coast still led by 2.5 goals halfway through the last quarter. These things, can you just say, yeah, they cost us the match?
Look, I think you do. As football tightens up and we're talking about these contests, I mean, they do become important. But I think if you use that as the excuse and the only reason why you lost, I think you're on the wrong track. I mean, there were another 3,000 incidents throughout the day that could have been done and avoided. So it hurts, but it's not the be-all and end-all, that's for certain.
When you went back to coaching, did you look at TV with a different angle, a different perspective?
Possibly. I think what you do, I must admit, I know some people say they don't like the commentary, you know, when they look at what other teams are doing, but I quite enjoy the commentary. It helps you pick up the opposition players better. And just occasionally a guy will actually say something or observe something, but particularly in special comments, that you think, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, I'll just make a mental note of that.
Do you have the set on in the box with someone with headphones?
No, but we did have a set on. If I wasn't sure about something or something wasn't quite going right, you might turn it up for a while. But no, I actually like to concentrate on the box, and occasionally if you didn't see something, you'd have a look at the set.
Final half-time. Thanks very much, Bruce. And yes, we're sitting here in the coach's box. It's very tight, and as we look out over this fantastic ground, I have with me Gerard Healy and Ross Glendenning. Welcome, boys.
Thanks, Blighty. Not as much pressure as I'm sure Roddy Dean is under at the present time.
No, well, actually, they started off very well, fellas, and it really was their half-back line that really did set them up.
Yeah, I think the fact that they won the ball out of the middle also exposed North Melbourne, and I think the fact that North Melbourne couldn't get any drive into their forward line, and when they did, it was all long bombs.
Oh, yeah.
Good shot. Good bird.
You know, I honestly thought I'd never do it again. I said that with all good intent at the time when I left Geelong, but I suppose with Bill Sanders, who you know sort of grown up in the Woodville area, and John Reid, who had a long association with, and Bob Hammond, who was chairman and been around the footy circles in Adelaide for a long time. Eventually, after talking to them over a period of time, you know, each time I talked to them, I got a bit warmer and warmer and warmer, and so in the end I thought, well, it's almost like coaching the state team that I grew up with, you know, South Australia playing Victoria, and you know, all those things came together, and I just sat down with Patsy one night and said, well, shall we have a go? And the kids said, well, yeah, go. So it was pretty unusual that the parents left the kids, which is quite strange.
Football's worst-kept secret came into the open today when Blight was officially installed as the Crows' third coach. 12th position on the ladder was Adelaide's worst finish since entering the comp in '91. The club's hierarchy, however, moving quickly to redress the trend.
Once Robert Shaw made his decision, and we worked pretty hard to get him. We did, of course, have other irons in the fire, but Malcolm was always the priority for the club.
For Blight, it's yet another coaching challenge. After guiding Geelong to 3 grand final finishes in his 6 years from '89, the two jobs, though, he says, do have similarities.
People similar, emphasis similar, pretty passionate about their footy. Hated losing for some unknown reason. I could never understand that about supporters.
But Crow supporters may demand more. And while the changes will happen, the competitiveness of the side, he claims, won't be diminished.
I mean, we just have to be pretty keen, pretty desperate. Enjoy it, enjoy the challenge of it, and really improve next year. So September action is what you're looking for.
It must have been staggering for the people of Adelaide who'd grown up watching the Crows the previous 4 or 5 years. Suddenly you came along and got rid of 3 real icons, really, in South Australia. Jarman, McGuinness and McDermott. How hard was that?
Well, each of them had a different reason. I thought Chris McDermott had retired, actually. I spoke to him after and went through that with him. Andrew Jarman had done something the year before from a club point of view that it probably got him offside, and you know, hopefully that's healing itself. And Tony, you know, was still probably a fair player, but you know, time catches up with all of us, and that was the tough one. And you know, as a coach, you make those decisions. And as I said, I've spent some time with Tony since. You know, I don't think it's one of those things you can ever look back on and say that you did it with a lot of pleasure. It's one of those tough calls, and I guess I've got to live with it. Tony certainly has to, and you know, I think there's a mutual respect there. He's doing a great job with his football club in Adelaide, so hopefully he can go on and learn from that himself.
A good move by the Crows. Modra's calling for it, so is Stanfield. As Roderick kicks it high, here's Modra. Can't hang on to it. Stanfield kicks in mid-air, he's kicked it. Yes! And Simons might look for Banks, or will he go to Fletcher?
Great defensive work by the Crows.
This has been about, it is great defensive work. Now,
they're just running the clock down, I think, Pete, to...
getting close towards quarter time. Only about 20 seconds to go. Oh, an ordinary kick by Banks. Taken by Modra. He kicks straight up in the air. Liptat. Oh, good mark. He's really the only one who went for it.
Well, players do say that if they wear gloves that they lose contact, and maybe that's the problem there.
The kick from Liptat is a goal.
As I said, there were 150,000 selectors in Geelong. There's probably nearly 1 million in Adelaide, but Port Adelaide came in at the same time that I went back, and a lot of the players and people around the club thought that took a bit of heat off the Crows, and I wasn't there, so you have to believe that. Yeah, it is a difficult town because, you know, the Crows were this thing that came from nowhere in '91 and erupted into Adelaide, and you know, the passion for football became greater than ever. I'd seen it before in my time in Adelaide, so yeah, it was very difficult.
Just behind the wing, hand pass into Darren Jarman. Jars goes for the 50. Roos gets back, drops what he may have taken. It spills. Robrin to Stanfield. Stanfield kicks a goal. That's his second. Swans out of defence. The ball sits up for Costa. Costa's kick inside the 50. Bit of luck about that. Prosciutto takes the chest mark. And Mark Prosciutto, who was fantastic last week in the game against Essendon, going for their third. Slight breeze behind, 45 metres, goal!
When you look back through 97 season, during the home and away season, were there standouts for you? Were there a couple of games that you look back on and were indicators of what was to come?
Oh, honestly, I couldn't say that. It was such a struggle. You know, you inherit Robert Shaw ended up with a lot of injuries in '96, and they seemed to start and stay there from the whole time in Adelaide, actually. So the first 6 or 7 weeks was really a finding out process, and from then on in, we had a good run, you know, won 5 in a row, but they weren't mammoth wins or anything like that. It was really just workmanlike and with a bit of brilliance, I think, and so it was really I thought it was going to be a developing year. Everyone did, and it was quite a surprise what happened in the end.
It's been a problem for the Dockers working it out of defence. Wren directs it down to Kim Costa. Costa back towards half forward. Edwards worked under it by Kickett, waiting behind Liptak to Vardy. Vardy breaks through half forward, 40 metres out, closing, kicks the goal. He's having a big night. Pittman, his second attempt. Bickley knocked it away. Vardy directed it down to Prosciutto. Costa now confronted, gets by Kickett, brilliantly done. Vardy swings it wider. Robrin feeds it back towards the middle. Awkward one for Edwards. He's about 20 metres out, gives it to Robrin. The look away hand pass, worked a treat.
You just wonder that month, the whole month of football, you know, to win 4 finals, admittedly 2 of them in Adelaide, and you know, some pretty tough games, and then to come to Melbourne for the last 2, preliminary final and grand final. I mean, you just couldn't write that script. I don't think anybody in the football world would have said that Adelaide are any chance at all. And so it was pretty satisfying when it all happened.
So Goodwin's got it on centre wing. Goes short. Finds Johnson. He's got it, Jarman. Mr. Magic's got it. They trail by 2 points. Look at the convention centre in Adelaide. 90 plays 87. Under 2 minutes left. Darren Jarman. The spotlight is on him. 35 metres out. The Crows are in front.
It's looking like the Crows. They lead by 2 points. What a turn-up after a 31-point margin at half-time. Crows were goalless in the first term. Bulldogs have been goalless in the last. Scott West again. It drops short. Edwards gets back there. The hand pass away. Jamison. Siren! Crows are in the grand final!
You know, I can remember them saying to the blokes before we ran out before the grand final, you know, I remember at Geelong you'd sort of get a bit worked up and you get the players worked up, but it's still about 25 minutes to play the game. So I said, look, you may as well just run out there, have a good look around, take it all in, and then after you line up and come back together, Mark Bickley, just get them all in tight and look up towards me and we're ready to go. I mean, it was pretty laid back because there's 25 minutes of emotion to go through yet, and I think that sometimes that build-up emotion can probably turn the other way. So I actually backed off a bit.
No, he goes short. Wide. Bond's got it. 45 metres out. Tight angle. Not the longest kick in the comp, though. He kicked a long bomb, didn't he, late against Geelong, which was a huge goal at the time. He kicked a couple of goals late in that match. He's the leading goal scorer for the Crows in the finals this season. And that's a good kick. It's right there, close, very close. Is it a goal? I think it is. What a goal.
This is a hard football to win at the moment. Wakeland does the ruck work. Bond gets an opportunity, but he's claimed. Flicked in towards goal. Lovely looking tick too. Is going to be good. Goodwin. It pops the handball straight up in the air. Difficult one for Lowe. Hurried kick by Jarman, goes back towards centre wing. Difficult one as it bounces low. Up towards right half forward. Charging his Cripps. Claim, but gets his kick down to half forward and a beautiful fingertip mark. Low down by Jarman. What a champion he is as he gives it to Costa. He runs through the centre, floats it up towards Ellen at half forward. Shanahan spoils. Shanahan recovers and defends towards the boundary line. Kept in play, however. Ellen sneaks away the hand pass. Edwards flicks to Bond.
But in the forward line, keep it inside, and the Crows set it up from that.
The Crows are pegging them back.
Once again, you're against a former teammate in Stan Elves. Did you feel you went in as the underdog? Did you feel that that they had the equipment, the big name players to take it?
Oh, there's no doubt and I said at the time, I still believe it. I mean, they deserved their right. They'd won, what, 9 in a row or something, and yeah, I mean, they were a very good team, you know, and their first half showed that.
It's unfair to call a man a freak, but you had one at Geelong and you had another one in Adelaide, in Jarman, who can do unbelievable things.
Yeah, when we sort of controlled the game in that second half, Andrew McLeod and Darren really, yeah, well, turned it on, I suppose, the best way, and Sean, and yeah, so I mean, it was a terrific team effort, and Darren's such a beautiful kick that if we could ever get the ball to him, you always knew you were going to be a chance to get a goal.
They come from all directions, and the young man, Goodwin, claims the mark.
Spread well, releases Bond, runs a yard and then bounces, and then comes away and chips to Smart at 60. The Crows are playing brilliantly at the moment. Jarman in the pocket, kicks towards him, got him. Well, he can go back and put him in front, just like he did last week. Kicks for goal. They're in front.
Better feeling than when you've been part of that grand final win. Certainly as a player and also as a coach. I mean, that next 30 seconds or couple of minutes is the highest high you've ever had in your life, and sometimes when you think back about it, you get goosebumps about it. It doesn't last for long, believe me, but it's just one of the great feelings I've ever experienced in those days. And, you know, after 50 years, and you knew a fair bit about the history by then, that, you know, I remember Brass talking about, and even the players talking about, the people weeping in the streets of North Melbourne. And it was quite emotional just to take a step back from all that and look at it. But I suppose in Adelaide it was a bit similar, that you know, that there was this club formed from nowhere, this whole state pride thing was on the line, and they'd finally beat the Vicks. Now, I never took it quite like that, but a lot of the town did, so it was very similar in the way the whole thing happened. In the spray, and oh, look, that the next week was just, yeah, I mean, I suppose you had to be there to see it, but the elation and just the jubilation in town was just unbelievable.
We're the pride of South Australia, we're the mighty Adelaide Crows.
We kicked the Vic, we kicked the Vic.
The players stayed in Melbourne to savour the victory, partying within sight of the MCG at Melbourne Park. 5-goal hero Darren Jarman again playing for the crowd. And on the road to Adelaide, thousands stopped at Ballarat's Tent City, not for a rest, but for another party. After a long night, the Crows finally left Melbourne behind, and at 35,000 feet, the moment South Australia has longed for, but few witnessed it.
We're hitting the border now.
Just about to cross it now.
When they touched down, the fire brigade sprayed the aircraft and sirens sounded. The players only beginning to realise the enormous impact the winners had in their home state.
A lot of people really look forward to watching footy each weekend, and then we can have some success like we've had now and create a bit of history. It's just fantastic for them, and like I say, it just creates a positive outlet for the stadium.
The partying will last a week, but the satisfaction will endure for a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
Just like Adelaide in 1998.
Yeah, finally found it.
A little bit of a hook at the end.
Yeah, it was.
It was a good season, wasn't it? When you look back on it, once again, another struggle through the year. It wasn't cut and dried.
No, to end up fifth was quite remarkable, really. That last round, if things didn't pull in our way, you could have missed out entirely. So to finish fifth was a bit of a bonus for us.
A year of the repeat, as they'd say in basketball. Robert Harvey won the Brownlow. Andrew McLeod, another great grand final performance. And the Crows, underdogs again, getting up and doing it.
Yeah, particularly after the first final against Melbourne, and you know, they were really on fire then. And yeah, the next 3 weeks we just sort of hung on. We played Sydney in a really bad night, wet, rainy night at the SCG, and we played the Bulldogs again and counted for them. And of course, up until the last 10 minutes of the grand final, it really could have gone either way, north or ourselves, and we were very fortunate in the end to break away.
To Ben Hart squeezes it, Robran nearly, clever, handball to Johnson. Johnson tried to break it, McLeod, brilliantly done, back to Johnson. Johnson goes, and he's kept it. They're back.
Stevens has been able to get hold of the ball on a number of occasions. McLeod didn't have the ideal preparation coming into this final series.
Marsh wins it down. Here's Robran and Martin. Smart in front. Freeborn's got him. He gets a kick. He gets a kick. And a miraculous kick.
No one said it could be done in the AFL competition. The Adelaide Crows are a super team.
Archer's kicker almost back to the centre. Kane Johnson almost throws it away. It matters not. Tyson has been sensational. Nigel Smart firing again a goal like a
When you look back at the history of those big games, it's usually the side that actually kicks well. You know, doesn't kick a lot of points, and you know, throughout the year we'd had those games. Obviously North had too, and the irony of that, of course, in '99 they actually kicked straight.
Can you remember going to the press conference afterwards and you were saying 1 and 2, and you know what you said that day?
Yeah, I've always thought that, you know, in the history of footy, that if you can win 1, it's a great team, and if you can win 2, you're freaks, and 3 would be miracles, and that's during any era. And yeah, I still believe that. You know, there's so many things that have to unfold in a footy season and a final series for you to actually win the thing, that you know, that you just don't seem to be able to do it all the time.
It's ticking away. They've done what we thought was impossible. They've been to Perth, to Melbourne, to Sydney, to Melbourne, and they've come back. And it's theirs. They are a super football team. No question. It's endorsed. It's from today.
Now you're on the bus, about to go to the ground, and there was some sort of omen. What happened?
Well, it was this police escort, and the number plate was MAL010, and which apparently equated to this is Malcolm's 10th grand final, and the omen turned out to be sweet.
Eccentric to the end, without a hint of warning, the game's most enigmatic figure dropped a bombshell on the football world.
Malcolm Blight in football and playing and coaching is over.
After 2 premierships in his first 2 seasons at the club, Blight wants a break from the game. The Adelaide board reluctantly agreeing last night to release him a season early.
I'm pretty tired, actually. The battery's really running down.
A recent illness to Blight's wife Patsy is also believed to be a key reason, with a return to Melbourne to be nearer their children on the cards. His departure today met with immense praise.
The Adelaide Footy Club has been a very privileged club to have had an icon, stroke champion, associated with it.
Malcolm Blight in football is parting company.
I just felt that, you know, all the energy that I had sort of drained away from your body. I'm not quite sure why that happened so quickly, but I think from a club point of view in the Adelaide Football Club, it's probably good now that, you know, those premiership players can have someone else can have a look at them, and they have to raise their standards again. So I hope it works out well for them, and for me, well, after a rest, who knows where the future holds anyhow.
I read in the paper, Patrick Smith in The Age in Melbourne said that you turned into a bloke you weren't, that you were a grumpy, angry man, whereas in real life, you're polite and friendly and happy. Did you feel that Malcolm Blight, the man, was changing in 1999?
Look, I think there were times, particularly about 2/3 of the way through the year, when you could see the whole year wasn't panning out the way we'd liked it, and I did try and crank it up there for a while. I thought I'd perhaps been a bit easy on the guys, and so you start to get that aggressiveness back in India, and you've got a lot of respect for them because you've been through a bit with them now. So yeah, a bit of that was in it. I think there's a bit of truth in that.
The other clubs obviously came after you. Does the future include coaching, do you believe?
I'll never say never again, but right now I'm really looking forward to the break, and as I said, the future seems to take care of itself with me.
When you look back on over 30 years in football, is the performance over the last 2 years with Adelaide the outstanding feature?
Look, it is an outstanding feature, but I think I was pretty lucky. I went through some great days at North. We had some terrific fun at Geelong, probably their best time of recent years, and even some great times at Woodville in those couple of years there, and now with Adelaide. I've led a very fortunate football life. It's been great competing, and I think we get away from that sometimes. I mean, not everyone can win, but gee, that winning just tastes so much better than anything else you've ever had in your life.
Well, amazing scenes here as you return to Football Park. Yes, Geelong with Malcolm Blight at the head, standing in a guard of honour for the Adelaide Crows. Well, Gerard Healy picked it this morning. He said that Malcolm Blight was going to try something extraordinary. The Geelong players stood there for 3 or 4 minutes in a guard of honour for the Adelaide Crows and waited for the Adelaide team to come out. Malcolm Blight at the head of affairs. An amazing scene here at Football Park. The huge crowd got very much involved. Great anticipation when the Crows would come out, and it went off really without a whimper. Neil Curley is down on the ground. He knows Malcolm Blight very, very well. He knows Graham Corns pretty well. Neil, are you surprised at Malcolm's actions?
Well, nothing much surprises me in AFL football today, Bruce, but that was a strange one. I just don't quite know what Malcolm wanted to gain out of it. He had them standing there for a long time.
Ironically, all our leaders were out. Gary Hocking captained for the first time, and said to him in the team meeting, it's a pretty important game for us. Why don't we line up like a final? And that's what I thought. And we'll just practice the finals. It was late in the year. And I said to Gary, look, I'll stand with you if you want me to. And he said, yes. I nearly died. But as it turned out, we didn't win. We didn't get beat by as much as what we normally do in Adelaide. And yeah, I thought it was really just a finals build-up type. When you look back now, it probably looked a bit strange, and yeah, it probably was.
Well, Mal, a disappointing start. You must have been. You were disappointed. I heard you quarter time, but to their credit, they did give you a bit during the second and third quarter.
Yeah, unfortunately, what's going to happen, Neil, is that to start like that means you won't win, particularly with a pathetic effort from Pittman in ruck. I mean, it was the most disgraceful display I've ever seen from a big fella, and that's pretty hard on an individual. But he's going to have to live with that because we got carried away as a team. And then at the end, I'm really disappointed that. Just disappointed that as soon as the free kick went against Mark Bickley and the turnover in the centre, and you saw everyone just go ahead. Ben Hart's head went down, everyone's head went down. I mean, I'm absolutely fuming, but then you add that up to 90 minutes, which was probably pretty good stuff.
When you think back on it, was that you flexing your muscles and just saying, hey, I'm the boss, I'll be heard?
Look, we won our first game and then came to Melbourne, and I thought we were a chance to win the game, and it was a free kick given against Mark Bickley, which was a dicey one, and one of the rules is that you don't complain about umpires, but everyone around the ground, you could just see the whole team just go drop, and also reflected on a bad first quarter, which David did have, and so after the game, it wasn't only just at David. I mean, that certainly came out that way, but it was about the Adelaide Football Club. I mean, you just can't drop your shoulders. I mean, you've got to hang in there. So it was more about the team rather than individual.
They're very disappointed Malcolm Blight going to the rooms already. Richmond will win their, I'm going to say for the first time this year, will win 2 games in succession.
It's strange how these little quirky things always seem to happen against Richmond. Then there was the one at Footy Park against Richmond, where with minutes to go, you and John Reid walked around the boundary line, obviously had enough, but it was a fair signal to the players and the crowd.
Yeah, look, I did genuinely mess up the time. I don't know what happened. It was a pretty frustrating day. We were in control of the game and then Richmond took it away from us. So it was really, I just wanted to get round to the room to actually think about what I wanted to say. And as it turned out, the game just kept on going and going and going. So I thought, well, I've gone this far, I might as well keep going. But ironically, most of the players didn't even see it anyhow. They heard about it after.
Now the last one, the ring at Carlton, where you did the circling at Optus Oval this year.
Look, I thought that was our last chance, and it was one quarter of football to go. We just played a bad quarter, and we're struggling all year, as you know. And I just thought, oh, one last crack at it, and I probably got a bit angry and mean for, you know, one of the very few times for the year.